Hello everybody, welcome to Winnemac Attack Hockey for this week's edition of NHL Weekly Update for the week of February 14th. Let's see what's going on around the league. I'm Dom the Bomb, joined once again by Jake the Snake Armstrong. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm always excited to talk about hockey, Dom.
All right, well let's jump right in here. First up, we have our NHL outdoors game between the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, but we had some problems with the ice. What happened?
All right, so NHL, get it together. You're playing on the California border. You should have prepped this. The ice started melting mid-game, so they had to postpone it.
Yeah, weren't players like tripping, refs were stumbling everywhere.
Yeah, even the refs were falling down. It was just a mess, and it was almost as bad as the commercial they used to promote it, where it was the lady like whispering. It was creepy. NHL, get it together.
Oh, geez, but thankfully they were able to resume, right?
Right, they had to postpone until midnight, the same night, which was kind of epic. Midnight McKinnon showed up and scored a goal. It was a good time.
Nice. Man, I hope they continue doing these outdoor games. They're a lot of fun, especially if they can keep the ice the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
All right, next up, we have Connor McDavid reaching his 500th point. Jake, explain a little bit there.
Connor McDavid, if you haven't heard of the guy, then you haven't watched hockey. He's so good. Scored his 500th point in the same number of games that it took Sidney Crosby. So not only is he scoring at that pace, he's getting even better. Like, he's already at 506. There's no sign of slowing down anywhere.
Absolutely, the guy is absolutely incredible. Has been carrying his team since the day he got drafted. Generational talent. I mean, you're not going to see a Connor McDavid in every draft.
Had a 5-point night the other night. He just doesn't stop.
Him and Draisaitl both. Man.
Right.
So, speaking of Sid the Kid, he just played his 1,000th career game. Jake, how did his teammates respond?
They all wore Sidney Crosby jerseys for warm-up, and they followed his pregame ritual. He does something with his skates. They all did it. It was funny. It was a good setup by the Penguins to get that going, make him feel good. And not only that, he's a really good player. He has 1,300 points in 1,000 games.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, that's a significant number. Not everybody gets to hit that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so speaking of talent and news around the league, Hischier of the Devils was named captain. Jake, why is this such a crazy news feed for this week?
PK Subban needs to request a trade. He was the captain on Nashville for a while. He goes, he's got to be a leader in that locker room. I know he gets some hate. But they give it to this young guy, 22 years old, the youngest current captain in the NHL. I'm sure PK is happy for him, though. He's a good guy. And we should all be happy. He's a good player, Nico Hischier. And the Devils should be excited to have him lead their team.
Yeah, honestly, do you think they made this decision just because he's this young and could be the captain for, like, the next decade, maybe more?
The Devils aren't having a bad year this year. And if you're a team that has potential to make the playoffs, you have to have a captain just because you don't want to get into the thick of things and not have a leader on your team. So I think that's why they decided they needed to name him captain now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, fantastic news for Hischier, and obviously we wish him the best of luck. So, all right. Up next, Mike Babcock is back in the news because he was just hired as the University of Saskatchewan's coach.
Well, there's two sides to this. You can either be excited that Mike Babcock is going to be your coach if you go to that college, or you can go into depression because Mike Babcock is going to be your coach. He's a successful coach. He found success with the Maple Leafs, but he's very strict, and some of the things that he did were considered unethical, like making Mitch Marner make a list of the hardest workers to least hardest workers and then releasing it to the team. That's not good for morale. So it could go either way. We hope for the best for the team, for the players, and we hope he doesn't ruin the job for himself this time.
Yeah, for sure. Glad to see someone though with NHL experience still wanting to continue his coaching career, even if it's not in the NHL.
Yeah, we wish him the best.
Yeah. All right. So the Arizona Coyotes, if you haven't heard, they are up for sale. Jake, what do you think?
All right, so let's be clear. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to relocate, but we're gonna dream anyways. Indianapolis, you're gonna rename them because they're not gonna be the Indy Coyotes. It doesn't have a good ring, but we're gonna hope that they relocate to Indianapolis because we want a team here in Indiana. Really, they could go anywhere. Quebec City wants a team. Houston wants a team, but Coyotes fans, you should be worried because the team's up for sale. They've been up for sale for the last 6 months, and the NHL is trying to keep it on the down low.
Yeah, honestly, us hockey fans in Indiana have been waiting for this moment. There's an opportunity. Once Seattle got named that they were the expansion team, we were all depressed over here. We wanted a team really badly. And honestly, with all the dealing that Arizona and Chicago have done over the years, it would just make things easier being closer.
NHL, we need a team.
We need a team. Indy needs a team. All right, so that's what's going on around the league. So let's hop into the standings and see where all the teams are at after another fun, exciting week of hockey. So in the Central Division, the Carolina Hurricanes, who just recently broke out their Whalers jerseys, by the way, are leading the division with 25 points, followed closely by Coach Q's Florida Panthers with 24, and in third place, the Blackhawks are in third place with 22 points. Going on to the East, Boston still leading with 22 points, followed up by the Capitals with 21. And there's a three-way tie for third. So that division is really getting close. In the West, St. Louis holds on to a very thin lead at 22 points with Vegas trailing at 21. Anaheim has made their way down to the bottom. But hey, in the North, Toronto, they're going off right now. They have 30 points, best in the league, and they're followed by the Edmonton Oilers at 24. They're picking it up. They had a slow start, and they're just winning a bunch of games. And then you have Ottawa and Vancouver chilling at the bottom. So, nothing new there. All right, Jake, what surprises you about the standings for the week? Anything in particular you want to talk about?
I'm not surprised, but a team to keep an eye out for. The Florida Panthers. They aren't the flashiest team, but they're winning games. They're climbing the standings, and all three of their fans are losing their minds.
I tell you what, once they signed Bobrovsky to that crazy deal, I thought, oh no, he's gonna take up too much cap. The team's gonna fall apart. And then they traded Trocheck away. I was like, man, that's not something that I would have expected. But here they are, playing great hockey. So, quite a surprise.
Right. They also lost Evgeny Dadonov, who's now in Ottawa, dreaming of better days. But they're still pulling it together, and Florida is up there.
Yeah, I mean, they're outplaying the Tampa Bay Lightning, so that's got to say something. All right, so with that, let's move on to our players to watch for this upcoming week. Jake, let's start with you. Who do you got?
All right, first up is Trevor Zegras from Anaheim. They decided to cut their losses. They wanted him to play in the AHL. But after doing really well, they decided to give him NHL time. So this week, he's going to make his NHL debut. And he was an early round pick. He did really well in the World Juniors for USA this year. And I see him continuing that success at the NHL level. I don't think he'll slow down, and I think he'll make a good transition.
Yeah, definitely a player to keep an eye on, especially being as young as he is. The team's giving him a chance in the NHL. Anaheim could use the help.
Right, and second up, back to the Florida Panthers that we mentioned earlier. Jonathan Huberdeau is the most underrated player in the league. Everybody has always liked to say that it's Alexander Barkov, but Huberdeau actually has the most points in Florida Panthers franchise history, and he's still leading that team this season. He's finding the score sheet, and he's leading that team.
Wow, that probably has a lot to do with their success, I would imagine.
Yeah, they've just got it going. Ekblad's stepping up. Barkov, he's not the most underrated player in the league, but he's a good player. But Huberdeau is where it's at.
All right, is that all for your players to watch for the week?
Those are my guys.
All right, so on my list, I've got Nurse and Barry, 2 defenders for the Edmonton Oilers, and I have both of these guys on my list because they are helping out offensively. They have 16 points each, which is top 10 in the NHL for defensemen. That would explain a lot of Edmonton's success, especially, McDavid and Draisaitl doing their thing. But when you have help from the defense, something that Edmonton hasn't really gotten in the past few years, they're all of a sudden winning games. Boom, magic. The defense is stepping up, something to keep an eye on, especially since they're only 6 points back of Toronto right now.
Pretty good deal for Edmonton. Now, if only those 2 guys could learn to, play defense. But, it's cool. They're scoring points.
And my other player to watch for the week is Philip Grubauer for Colorado. I don't know if he's been getting as much attention around the league. I don't know. But this guy is 9-3 this season with a 93.6% save percentage. Guys, that's less than 7 goals on 100 shots. That's why his team's winning games right now.
I just want to say, biggest play he's made all season. In the outdoor game, the sun was shining in his eyes. He throws on the sickest pair of shades. If I was a shooter, I would be terrified.
Absolutely. If I were coming across a goalie wearing shades, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, he froze me as a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any last comments before we close out here, Jake?
As always, it's going to be a great week of hockey, and I'm stoked.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you all for joining us again for this week's edition of The Updates. We will see you next time on Winamac Attack Hockey.